Thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I am really excited about my next guest. I have Sheba here. She is somebody I got acquainted with on Clubhouse. I tell you, I am like in the Clubhouse zone, guys. There are so many different great connections that I have made on this platform. I'm so excited to have Sheba here today. And before we get into some organizing tips and tricks and strategies, I want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Lachelle. I'm Sheba, and I'm a professional organizer. My company name is Simplify with Sheba, and I'm here in Montreal, Canada. But I do provide virtual organizing services as well as in-home services. So yes, that's my intro.
Awesome. And so, how did you get into organizing? For me, everything's always a mess over here. Okay. We currently have 7 kids that are e learning, 9 kids that are still at home. So, organizing is always a touchy subject for us. So, how did you decide this is what was your passion?
So I'd love to say that I was born organized and I've been doing it since I was young, but no, that's not the case. No, I wasn't born organized, and honestly, didn't know its value until I had kids of my own. Until I had kids, everything. I mean, before you have kids, everything is, you're in your routine. You go to work, you come home, you watch TV. You don't really understand the value of being organized. When I had my kids, as any new mom, you're running on low sleep, you're frazzled, you don't even know what day it is half the time, right? So, I mean, forget me. I have 2 kids, but like me and you should have another conversation after this, raising your kids as well. So I'm sure you can give me tips on that. But no, I mean, when you have kids and they're young, you have to kind of prioritize things differently, right? And you have to kind of reset your home. What was working for you before might not be working for you now. It's a whole other situation, basically. So that's what it is. Like, major life transitions really force you to think about your environment, think about your situation, and see if it's working for you, if it's not working for you. So there were a lot of times I remember my kids were young and I was looking for like a doctor's paper and I didn't know where I put it. And I'm ripping up the basement trying to find it, and I'm trying to find it in the kitchen. It was just chaotic. And for me, I really hate being late. I really like structure. And it just forced me to kind of take that time and redo my home in a way that was very systemized and made sense. It helped also, I was a stay-at-home mom, so I kind of had that extra time at home to kind of figure out where things needed to go, so that it works for me and works for my family. And it's just one thing left to cross off your list, right? It's one thing you don't need to worry about. And when you know where your things are when you need it, that is just a peace of mind that itself it's all the value. It's right there.
Yeah. So when you think about knowing where things are when you need it, what is the mindset that we need to have? Because a lot of times, in my case, I was an only child. My husband was the youngest of 5, but then we have a family of 15. So, that whole thing about how to put things in its place, what place it goes into, what are some things that we need to be mindful of about where we should put things?
So again, in organizing, there's no one size fits all, right?
Mhm.
So that's one thing that I love about this profession, is that every job I go to, it's a different scenario. It's a different situation. The first task is to just listen to the client's story, right? Figure out what is the cause of the disorganization. And not only that, but figure out what is working for them, right? So the task is just to figure out what's working, what's not working, and go along with that. Find situations in the home, like whatever is working for them, we kind of repeat that in other areas of the home so that it's easier to maintain rather than, have a cookie cutter system and be like, this is it, this is how it's going to be, learn this new system, right? It's really hard to kind of teach someone new tricks. So what I like to do is I like to kind of figure out what is working for them and replicate that, around their home.
I see. So, what are some things that we need to ask ourselves? If we are, man, I'm doing good in some of this organization, but I want to get a handle on it. What are some things that we get wrong when we just decide to do it ourselves?
So, like, I'll give you an example, right? If you go into a room and you take a look around, and if you see there's like a pile of clothes in the corner of your room, right? So right away, you kind of know, okay, there's something that is not working here, right? It's not that, okay, I have too many clothes or I don't know where to put them. It's that is not working. There's something that's not working there. So that's a situation where you need to tackle and figure out, is it clean clothes? Is it dirty clothes? Do you need a hamper put there? Is it, you don't have the proper space to kind of fit those clothes? Is it just, you're too tired to kind of put them away, so you're just tossing them in the corner? You have to really get down and figure out what is causing that mess, that clutter. So a lot of it is just to kind of walk through your space. And like, I remember doing this when I was in the process of redoing my organization in my home. I walked around my whole house and I just had a notebook with me. And I went room by room and I just took a note saying, okay, this is what I like about this room and this is what I don't like in terms of organizing, not really like the decor or anything. Mostly like I would just look around and I'd be thinking, okay, I really like the way I have my drawers organized. I always can find what I need, but my closet ends up, pretty messy. So it's just to kind of figure out what area you need to work on. And if you have it, like if you're like me and you like to-do lists and task lists and things like that, it's a dream, because then you just kind of make little check boxes and you write, okay, this room, this is working for me, this is not working for me. So that's a great starting point as well, to figure out, and then after, you can always prioritize, like, where is the main area of frustration coming from? Is it your kitchen? Is it your bedroom? Where should you start? So if you take a look at that list, that would be a good guideline to where to start.
I love that. And so, there's a lot of things that we kind of fall into. A lot of times we say, oh, I'm going to get organized. So we go out and buy all these containers. I want to put this here and there. So we walk through, we've seen what the problems are. Let's say you've got a problem in every room. What would be something that we can do so that we don't burn ourselves out or take on more than we can?
So I love that you mentioned that. Like, for example, when it comes to those pretty bins and containers, I know we're at the store and we see it, and then we think, you know what, if I just buy these containers, my life will be organized and I will be organized and it's just going to make everything perfect. But stop right there. That's not a good suggestion. The first thing, if you're in the process of getting your home organized, would be to first figure out, are these the items that you actually want to keep? Do a good declutter and assess what you have and figure out, am I just buying bins and containers to store these items that I don't really care about? Or, when you go through and evaluate, and then you're left with the things that truly mean something to you and that you truly would like to keep, then go out and purchase containers and bins to store what's left. So that way you're not just buying bins to store all your things. It's a different approach to it, basically. You're taking the time, you're figuring out what you have. It's very intentional. You're putting a lot of thought into, do I need it? Do I not need it? Should I get rid of this? Do I need to hold on to this? There's all these questions that you ask yourself. And then from there, you go out and then you purchase things to contain those items, to contain those categories of items.
I love that. Now, so, you've had to do some transition with this pandemic. I'm assuming that, you would go in person to help people organize. But now that that's been changed, what were some mindset shifts or, just things that you had to do in your own business to kind of allow you to be flexible?
So as an entrepreneur, I feel like our minds are always working and we're always trying to find ways to do things differently or to keep moving and, keep shifting our business. So when this whole situation hit, I think the first few weeks, I kind of just took a step back and not really think too much about my business at that time. I just took it. It was a time of uncertainty. We didn't know, schools were closed. We didn't know what was happening. So I kind of took it as a mini break and just kind of spent time with the family and not really concern myself with what do I need to do now? What should I be doing? How should I be, I think we all just kind of took a step back and you know we don't often get that time, right? We're always so busy in our lives. We're working and then the weekend comes around and then we're planning activities and we're seeing friends so I think I take it as a blessing, if anything, if I'm trying to be positive and trying to look at, the positivity of all this, is that I appreciate at least that time that we got to spend with our family and a time to slow down. So the first few weeks definitely was a time for us to kind of just spend more time as a family and take walks together and things like that. And then when it came time to getting back on track, figuring out what to do with work and all that, I definitely, I decided then to take my business online and offer virtual services. I figured it's the best time because everyone's home, everyone's now, where before you'd be out and you'd be working and the home doesn't really concern you. Now you're at home 24 hours, right? So we really figure out what's working, what's not working, and things that you didn't notice before, it starts bugging you. It starts frustrating you. So I figured it's the best time to kind of, do things around the house and try to make your life a little more simple, right? To simplify your lives and really really, change things up. You use that time wisely and figure out what can you do to make your life more simple, basically. So then I took my business online and I started offering virtual services, as well as for the clients that did also want me to come to their home. And at that time we were allowed working. So I did home consultations as well, with the mask and hand sanitizer and all that, up until the government allowed, right? And then we had the time where we weren't allowed to go into the home. So we had to take a step back. So it's always been like a period of on again, off again, right? We'd be allowed to work, so then we'd work safely, and then okay, no, we're in lockdown now. We're not allowed to work. So it's been a tough time to kind of shift all those sessions, but it's been challenging, and I'm sure this will be a year that we all remember, right? So if we take it in, if we look at it in terms of that, it's always better. I always like to look at things in a positive way. So,
Definitely.
And take it as a teaching lesson too. So
Absolutely. Now, so, and a lot of people have to transition, you're a stay-home mom all of a sudden, and you're also homeschooling your kids. And normally everybody goes to their rooms, but then you're trying to find desk space or put space for the kids to do their work. So I definitely understand that. So a lot of people are transitioning, and what advice would you give them about making such a change? Because for some people, their identity was wrapped into whatever position they had or things that they did, but they have to reinvent themselves and do something new. So underneath those circumstances, for many of the people that are watching, what advice would you give them about making such a transition?
Well, basically, again, the thing is, the priority at the end of the day is the kids and it's your well-being and things like that, right? So in order to do that, you need to have that environment where the kids can be at their best and learn, and you are there at your best as well, and you can be there for your kids. So if that means to, clear off the dining room and give that to the kids as their workspace, that's an option, right? So it's basically just shifting the home and shifting things around to allow it to work for your family. So, if it means to, create that, or even that safe space for you, that in your room, like that little haven, right? Where at the end of the day, you can kind of go and unwind and kind of just be on your own for a little bit to kind of clear your mind. Even that on its own, right? It's to figure out your needs and the needs of your family, and go from there, I would say.
I love that. Now, so what are some things that you do in your daily routine to stay organized?
So I love this question. Things that I do basically is to be prepared. I love being prepared. I always take a look at my next day schedule the night before, just so I know what do I have on my list, what do I have to do. If I'm going somewhere, if I have an appointment that day, I always take a look on Google, the Google Maps, and even figure out my route. So I know the night before what's the direction like, how am I getting there? Where do I need to go? Do I need to bring anything with me? Do I need to return anything on the way? It's just, I love being prepared. I hate being late. So things like that, little tips and tricks do keep me organized. And it's just, preparing yourself, right, for the next day, getting a good night's rest, just knowing what you have going on for that week. If you have different activities for the family, even having a group meeting, once a week with the whole family to figure out, what's on everyone's schedule, what do you have going on? Do you need me to pick up anything? It's just that little discussion also really helps get everyone together, and it allows me to like visualize that week and figure out what's happening. When am I doing groceries? When do I have my appointments? Try to batch them on the same day so that if I'm out, I'm kind of hitting every client at that same, if it's like an appointment, I'm doing that all on one day. If it's groceries, I'm doing that one day. So just planning out your day really keeps me organized.
I love that. That's good. And so, just all about efficiency. I love the batching, time blocking, all the things that you mentioned. That's phenomenal. So, for people who are trying to transform their mindset, about being simple, less is more. We hear terms like that. What is the best way for us to implement that in a baby step way that we can start with?
So I would say is just be intentional, right? And take a look at what you have and only keep the things that have meaning to you and that serve you. So, we live in a world today where we always have excess things, shopping, and we live in a very material world right now where Amazon is at our fingertips, and the next day deliveries and all that. We're surrounded by stuff all the time. So by that, it kind of decreases the value and importance of the things that, if something breaks, we just toss it aside and be like, oh, it's okay, we'll just order a new one. So that the value that we have in our things really decrease. So my suggestion is just to kind of, be thankful of your items, have understand its value, and when you have something, figure out, do I even need it? Do I really need to hold on to it? Is this serving me? And if not, if the answer is no, then let it go. You don't need to hold on to it. You don't need to keep it. So if we have that mindset, then, and we continue to, to grow with that, that's definitely a way in the right direction, I would feel. And it allows you to then live a life of meaning and surround yourself with the things that bring you joy, and let go of the items that don't serve you.
I love that. And that is some great advice, because with us being intentional, we just sometimes don't have the bandwidth or the space to even reflect and think about, what brings us joy. So I love that you bring that up, because that's something that we sometimes overlook. We just keep buying, or seeing who has what, and we don't even think, does this really have meaning? Do I like it? Do I even feel joy that I have it? So that is a great point that you bring up. So, talk to us about Clubhouse. It's been like a little addiction for me. So
Oh, wow.
tell
Yeah.
everybody, what are your thoughts about it and how do you use it to help you with your business right now?
So I'm super obsessed with Clubhouse. I absolutely love it. Um, I mean, I love podcasts and having on like an audiobook. I always love that aspect of it anyways while I'm working. Rather than listen to music, I would have an
Right.
audiobook on or I'd have a podcast on. So that's why when I first heard of Clubhouse, I was like, I need to be on this. And the fact that it was so limited and you needed an invite on and not everyone could get in, I think just made the thrill of it even more exciting because it was like, I need to be on this. How can I get on? So once I was on, and I mean, it's been about, I would say 2 months now. I've been on the app for 2 months now. And I'm still hooked to it, I'll be honest. Like I mentioned, like I'll have it on while I'm working. I'll have it on in the background if I'm just, if it's like a business room or I'm just learning. It doesn't mean like I won't be talking, but at least I'll still be listening. So that's always something that I have on. And just meeting all those, meeting so many different people and connecting with so many different people in a time where, again, we can't, I don't know where I am right now, the restaurants are closed. We can't go, we're still in like somewhat of a lockdown here. We still have a curfew, like 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. We can't leave the house. So, living in the time that we are now, I find that it came at the perfect time because I'm now meeting so many different people. There's so many local rooms. I'm meeting other Montrealers, other entrepreneurs, other like-minded people. And we're building real connection here. It's not like other social media apps where it's, you put up a pretty picture and that's it, right? Here it's all about connection. It's all about building those relationships and connecting with those that you basically finding those people and making that connection. So I'm a big fan of Clubhouse and I can't stop talking about it. So
No, I'm the same way.
yeah.
I've even fallen asleep on Clubhouse. Okay.
Oh, I done that as well. And not saying that the room was boring, but saying
I know.
that yeah.
I
was
just couldn't. I just couldn't leave quietly.
exactly. I was listening on and I fell asleep. That has happened
Right.
to me as well.
So, what are some good ways that you follow up with your clients? Because that's always a popular thing, especially now, everything's online and a lot of times you can't have that face-to-face interaction. So, what are some creative ways or ways that you follow up?
So once I have a client, we build a relationship, right? When I'm into their home, I'm in their personal space, I'm dealing with their personal items. It's only it's only going to happen that I'm going to build that relationship with them. We become close. We're talking. If we're working together, we're talking about different topics and things are coming up, and they become friends. I'll be honest, they become friends. And even now, I'll randomly, if I'm passing by like one of their homes, I'll send them a text and I'll be like, "Hey, I'm driving by your home. I wish I could stop and say hi, but I see like your home's right there." Or we text each other. Like I'm very available for them to reach out and they can text me. And if they have a question, to feel free and just ask me. Same on my social media. Like I'm available there and text message as well. We have that relationship where I allow them to, reach out whenever they want to reach out. I myself will check in on them and see how things are going. And especially after a session, just to figure out. The thing is, after a session, I'll often check in and be like, did that even work for you? Right? Because sometimes it takes a few days for you to live in that space with that new system. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So sometimes we need to go back and we need to edit, or I'll be like, you know what, how about we do this? So it's finding that sweet spot, finding that system that works for them. And it does require that constant communication between us to figure that out. So I love it. And again, it's such a great way to connect with others. And yeah, so definitely that's something that, on both ends, that communication is always there.
Yeah. And, I think it's really a very special opportunity that you have to come into somebody's home. So, what are some things that we can be aware of when it comes to building trust with people? Because I just know when it comes to organization, we hide behind so much. You have the closet that the room looks perfect, but you open up the closet, something can fall on you. So the element of being able to establish that trust so people can just show you the things that are in the closet so that they can move forward. What is it that we need to be mindful in order to accomplish that with a person?
So the first thing that I tell a client before I come to their home is, do not feel the need to tidy up before I come. Like, I'm not there to judge. I'm there just to kind of see how your space is. And the reason I ask is that I need to see how their space is on a normal day to figure out what is working for them and what isn't working for them, right? If they tidy it up, it's hard for me to figure out what the system would be to put in place for them. So first off, right off the bat, I tell them, do not tidy. I want to see how your space is. Please do not. I have seen so many houses. I'm not there to judge. And this is just part of my job, honestly. So just to kind of get them comfortable. And even, because we're in a world where social media plays there's such an importance of social media, just to get them to know that, what, not everything needs to be Pinterest, right? We don't need to compare our lives, right? So I'm like, we don't compare to Pinterest or on Instagram and compare our lives with other people's lives. That's not real life. So right off, I tell them that, I'm not there to judge. I'm not there for that, right? They don't need to have that with me. So I'll come in, and again, when I come into someone's home, I've already kind of somewhat built a connection with them offline. Whether it's on our first call, I always have a call before I come in as well, just to kind of hear about their situation. So when I come in, it's not like it's a stranger coming to their home. There's always, so there's already that feeling of, okay, I kind of know them and I follow them on social media. And I had people tell me, you're exactly the same as you are on social media. So, it's building that and having that connection with the clients. And, again, I'm in their space, I'm in their personal space, hearing their personal stories. And, they just don't feel that way then, right? Because again, if I'm already coming in and I'm not judging them, and hopefully they don't feel judged as well, right? That's the thing. So it goes both ways. And
I love that.
So yeah, it's definitely just being completely honest with them and just being real with them. I'm not there. I'm not putting on an act either. So I'll tell them, the craziness that's happened in my day as well. So I'm not coming in and trying to make everyone's lives magically better. I mean, we all have our issues. We all have our problems, problems around the home, and my own clutter that, when I'm working, obviously I'm not tending to my own home, right? So I tell clients all the time that, well, you should have seen my counters right now. I left them in a mess, So, it's about being real, to be honest.
I love that. And so this is just some great insight, because so many people kind of struggle with that. So this is some good opportunities for them to kind of hear a voice of reason, so to speak, because we tell ourselves some crazy stuff when it comes to organization. For sure. So, I can't believe we're at the end of the interview, but what is the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
So my company is Simplify with Sheba. And whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on Facebook, it's the same. You can just find me there. And my website is simplifywithsheba.com.
Awesome. And so what final words would you like to share with everybody?
So again, my final words would be, don't compare yourselves with others. Be happy where you are. And just the fact that if you're reaching out and you're trying to be organized and that's more than enough. You've already taken that first step, just, having those thoughts and reaching out to someone. And you don't even need to go to a professional. If you kind of, do take note of what you need to do and what you want to do in order to make your home better. It's a personal, it's a personal thing. So you figure that out for yourself. And, even just thinking that, even just listening to this podcast, right? That's the first step. You've already taken that first step. And, the rest is yet to come.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, Sheba, for joining us today and sharing your words of wisdom. And I feel like I've known you forever, and and we've only talked a couple times. Now it really is like, oh, I know her for real because I get to see you instead of just hearing your voice on the Clubhouse. So
speaking with you as well, Lachelle.
Oh, well, we want to thank you guys for watching us. I encourage you to reach out to Sheba if you would like any insights on organization. We've got a lot of time on our hands, everybody. While we're at home, this is the perfect time for us to organize and get things in order. And it's not that bad. She makes it seem like it's so simple, right?
Simple and fun and rewarding.
I love that. So I encourage you to reach out. If you have any questions and you want to put them in the comments, feel free, and we'll be sure to get those to Sheba so she can answer them for you. Definitely. And again, we just want to thank you for coming by and want to thank all you viewers out there for watching. So we wish you the best and happy organizing. So we will see everyone on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.
You're welcome.